Good morning, everybody. We'll start here in about 2 minutes. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a good weekend. We'll get started here in a little less than 2 minutes. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in about a minute and a half. Letting everybody get dialed in. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in about 1 minute. 1 minute. And everybody get dialed in. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in a right about 30 seconds or so. Good morning, everybody. We can start here in just a few seconds. Just a few seconds here. Last week, we talked about science-based selling skills, but I also want to talk to you about how they're used in real life. And one of those is by the FBI. So 5 psychological tips from an FBI hostage negotiator that will make you sell better. Kind of funny, back in, I think it was 2015, I had a retired FBI agent came to my training and he pulled me aside. I didn't know he was an ex-FBI. And he pulled me aside afterwards. He goes, everything you're teaching is what they taught our FBI interrogators. So it's not for negotiators, but actually what we do is very similar to what they teach the FBI agents for interrogation. Now, obviously, we do it a lot nicer, but the funny thing is, the most successful, when you watch on TV and you see that they they've captured somebody and they want to get information out of them, is the best way to get information out of people to break their bones or make them suffer or torture them? Is that the best way to get information out of people? Yes or no? Because when you torture people or you abuse people, what do you get? What kind of answers do you get when you torture people or abuse people? What you want to hear, Nick. That's right. They will tell you whatever they think you want them to say is what they're going to say. So what the FBI, this retired FBI agent was telling me was that they teach what we teach, which is to get on people's side, create trust. And when somebody trusts you, guess what they'll do? They'll tell you the truth. So this is actually a little bit different in that this is with what they do for hostage negotiation versus interrogation for getting information. But there is some parallels here, so I just want to walk through it. So Chris Voss served as a hostage negotiator at the FBI for close to a quarter of a century. During that portion of time, he was the Bureau's lead international hostage negotiator. Voss had an epiphany of sorts upon leaving the Bureau. He realized that several of the skills he'd learned, honed in the wild during the hostage negotiations, were likely or directly relevant to the business arena. So hostage versus client hostage. Let's talk about so the thing is, hostages are people who are holding hostages are obviously trying to get something from the negotiator. We're a little bit different. Well, I guess that's not necessarily that much different because our clients trying to get something from us. Yes, they are. They want free information. So one of the things that he was saying is mirror. Mirroring involves repetition of 3 to 5 key words from your counterpart's previous statement in the form of the question. If the customer says, we can't renew our subscription because of budget cuts, mirroring involves the rhetorical lines, you can't commit because of budget cuts? So is this what we teach at 5Q though? We do agree with mirroring, but is this what we teach at 5Q, that you take 3 to 5 words from the previous statement and put it in the form of a question? Because if you do this, what does it sound like, guys? We can't renew your subscription because of budget cuts. You can't commit because of budget cuts. What does that sound if you do it that way? So I'm going to tell you that what we teach is far superior to the FBI. Yeah, it's kind of confrontational, isn't it, Nick? It's confrontational. I don't care how you say that. It's like you're challenging me. Is that what we teach for mirroring? No. What we teach for mirroring is what? Parroting. And not paraphrasing, not taking 3 to 5 keywords. We take all of the words because we parrot, we do not paraphrase. And again, the second part of this call is going to be from Ray Dalio's book, and it's about how you create believability. And one of those things is the person is not believable unless they give you their reasoning on why they came to that conclusion. So my conclusion is the way we mirror is far superior to how the FBI mirrors. Now you're going to again learn from Ray Dalio, according to Ray Dalio, that you should not believe me because conclusions are like noses. Everybody's got one. What you want is not conclusions. You want to know, how did you come up with that conclusion? Well, here's how I came up with the conclusion that we want to parrot, not paraphrase. It's with research. So in a study by Rick Van Buren and his colleagues titled Mimicry for Money, and this study about weight, you heard me talk about it over and over and over again, has been duplicated over and over and over. And what they did is they called it the waiter study. They looked at how different verbal responses affected the tips given to a waitress in a Dutch restaurant. So group A, positive reinforcement. The waitress listened to the order and responded with positive, encouraging face like, "Great choice, coming right up." Group B, parroting. The waitress repeated the word order verbatim. The customer said, "I'll have salmon on the side of greens." She said, "Salmon with a side of greens." Not paraphrasing, verbatim, parroting. The result, the parroting technique led to 68 to 70% increase in tips. Guys, is that small? 68 to 70% increase in tips, even though the positive reinforcement group was technically more original, supportive, and the exact mimicry created a stronger psychological bond. So is 68 to 70% high? Dude, how many of you would like to make 68 to 70% more money next year? So this is when I tell you that this is that we parrot and there's a reason for it, there is a reason for it. So what they found is parroting for cognitive load, and cognitive load means how much do people actually have to think? Do most people like to think, or do we all, if I said, "Hey, let's do some calculus tonight for fun," is that something most people want to do? Are people like to think, or do they like to take shortcuts and take and give their brain the time off? So cognitive load is how much work does it require the person to have? Well, with parroting, the brain recognizes immediately its own words. So when we parrot back to them, their brain doesn't have to think. It's like, "Oh, that's what I just said." So that's high. With paraphrasing, they actually have to think. The brain has to translate your words back to you to the original content. And the way I look at it is this: is when we paraphrase, we basically told the person, "You know what, your answer wasn't quite good enough. Here, let me help you give a better answer." That's what happens when we paraphrase. And then their brain, their cognitive load has to be, is he doing this because he's trying to correct me? Is he even agreeing with me? Is he doing it to mock me? I don't want them thinking that. I want them to do it without any effort whatsoever for their brain to recognize, "Huh, that's what I just said. He must think just like me." So do you see how parroting works for cognitive load? Accuracy perception. It's 100%. There is zero risk of misinterpretation. If I paraphrase, I just went through several different things they could think about, right? Oh, is he mocking me? Does he think he's smarter than me? Is that really what I said? I don't think he understood me. That could mean all sorts of things in their heads, right? Do I want that stuff going on in their head? No. I want zero risk of misinterpretation. Social bonding, the chameleon effect. Subconscious mimicry signals, "I am just like you," which builds instant rapport. So that's chameleon effect, instant rapport. Extra rapport signals, "I am listening, but I can occasionally feel like a correction or a lecture." So guys, here's the thing. And again, I'm going to delve into this more in the second part of this call when we go into Ray Dalio's and believability and how you determine it. is the way we do it better or worse than the way the FBI does it? And guys, how many millions of dollars do you think the FBI has spent? How many millions of dollars do you think the FBI has spent hiring the best, what they think are the best experts out there to come up with these things? And who is better prepared to mirror, you or the highest trained FBI? This guy was the highest trained FBI agent, man. He was their head guy. Who's better, you or them if you're parroting? You or them if you're parroting? You guys. See, the chameleon effect is where the reason parroting works so well is rooted in evolutionary psychology. When someone mimics our body language or speech patterns, our brain characterizes them as part of it, the in-group. Guys, that's why teens use the language they do. Their little fun phrases, their little references, etc. That's how they determine that they're part of the in-group. And as soon as you, as the adult, start using that same phrasing and terms, what happens? Do they think you're part of the in-group, or do they immediately change it to make you part of the out-group again? See, this is evolution. It's the way everybody is wired. Sincerity. In a fast-paced environment like a restaurant, paraphrasing can sometimes make it feel like an unnecessary interruption. Validation. Repeating someone's exact words acts as a mirror, confirming their choices without a filter of your own interpretation. So guys, when I tell you to parrot with aping, agree, parrot, empower, I'm saying it for a reason, because there's scientific proof it works. Does that make sense? Okay, second thing that the FBI hostage negotiators utilize. Labeling is in a sense mirroring on steroids. Rather than merely repeating words, labeling involves proactively labeling your counterpart's emotions, especially fears, and it entitles creative, careful, and proactive listening skills. For example, if a sales manager senses a customer is concerned about the security features associated with the product, an effective negotiator will label the state of being, saying, sounds like you're afraid of a lack of security features, or it looks like you're concerned about safety. Is this what we tell you to do, guys? Yes or no? We do emotional labeling. We do emotional labeling. But is this how we do it? No. When you do it this way, what does it sound like? So you're buying a car. I mean, you're the customer. I put you in the customer's shoes. You're buying a car, and you say, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be big enough. And the salesperson says, oh, it sounds like you think that there's not going to be enough room in this car. What do you know is coming? What do you know what's coming when he says that? That he's on your side, or he's just about to try to overcome that objection? You think he's on your side, or you think he's saying that because he's just about to overcome your objection? Yeah, that's right. He's saying, I feel that he's trying to overcome the objection. It seems like, sounds like, it looks like, no. How do we emotion? What is the skill that we use? I just gave you the acronym we use. Which one of the apes gives us emotional labeling? Yes, John, it's GOTS, but it's ape. We ape. Well, GOTS, well, you're right, John. You nailed it. First of all, if they give us, John, a objection, we GOTS them. What do we tell them? That they're kind of right, they're mostly right, or do we say they're 150% right? Do we tell them that we agree with them, or do we tell them that not only do we agree with you, we are the poster child for that objection? If they say, that's right, John. If they say, I don't trust annuities in their companies, what do I say? Well, I understand how people say, it sounds like you don't trust it. Sounds like you've had a bad experience. No, when you do that, they know you're just about to overcome the objection. I say instead, you hate insurance companies. Geez, I hate them. You're lucky. You only have to deal with them on a very, very unregular basis, where I have to deal with them every single day. So I get it. When you say you don't like insurance companies, I don't like them. I have to talk to them every single day. They're huge behemoths. They don't listen to you. They put you on hold. They lose paperwork. I'm going to tell them, not only do I agree with them, I'm even more in agreement than they are. What happens to them in their mindset? Because when they give me that objection, they're thinking, what? I'm going to argue with them. And when I say, it sounds like you've had a bad experience with an insurance company, they're thinking, oh, here comes the freaking argument. Is that the way I want them to think? No. See, when they give us an objection, they're in the fear zone, fight or flight. They think he's either gonna, when I give the objection, he's gonna try to fight me, and I'm gonna fight him back, or I'm gonna run away. And when we're in the fight-flight mode, what happens to our blood pressure? What happens to our pulse rate? What happens to our ability to listen? It goes down, 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 down. So I need him to get him out of that fight-flight immediately. I need to get myself out of that fight-flight mentality or physicality immediately. So when they give me an objection, I immediately agree with them. Not like it sounds like you've had a bad experience with insurance companies. No, yeah, I get it. I hate insurance companies too. You hate them. I hate them even more than you. I have to deal with them every single day. They are huge companies that are after one thing and one thing only: their profitability. I mean, the amount of time I've spent on hold with an insurance company, geez, 2 years of my life. I mean, I can go through. Remember, we're going to get on their side for 3 to 5 minutes, telling them that they're not kind of right, but they're absolutely right. And not only do I kind of agree with them, I agree with them more than they agree with it. So that's one way we emotionally label. Now, is anybody thinking I'm panicking? When I'm saying that about insurance companies, does that mean I can't overcome that objection? Because that's right, Mark, 100% right. Does that mean that I can't then overcome that later on? That's where most advisors get afraid. Boy, if I get on their side that much about hating insurance companies, how would I ever come back from that? I'll just give you a little hint. After I've got on their side for 3 to 5 minutes about that, do they know I believe in what they believe? Do they think that I in any tiny way disagree with them? Or do they think, holy cow, this guy, he should settle down. I mean, they're not that terrible. He makes himself. But how could I overcome that? Well, then I'm going to say, yeah, and that's the exact reason I don't buy gas for my car either. Because oil companies are the exact same way. Or I don't go to any bank because banks are the exact same. No. Do I do that, folks? No. Of course I buy oil. But do I go to the oil pump thinking, oh, I'll fill it up and then I'll see what they charge me afterwards? Or I won't pull into a gas station unless I know what the price is. So when it comes to insurance companies, guess what? I read their contracts backwards and forwards. Do I trust them? No. I read them backwards and forwards. And once it's in writing, guess what they can't do? So then once they know I'm on their side, then we start talking. And would people then reasonably understand, oh, well, if it's in writing, they can't screw me. See, they get then, I can come back then later, after they know that I'm on their side, I can come back later and have them be more reasonable. Another way that I do emotional labeling is when I empower them, when I tell them they're above average, when I tell them that, boy, on that particular answer to that particular question, they were at the front of the class. I've asked that to 10 people. They were only 2 people that got it right, and they were one of. That's emotional labeling. That's how you get on their side, not by asking questions after they give you an objection and then you give them a question. That's, as Nick was saying earlier, confrontational. See, we got them. So good job, John, on that, and Mark. Then they also say getting to a no. So the third is with a hostage negotiation, is getting to a no. Many business leaders embark on negotiations with the goal of getting yes, 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 which, hey, we've been told what? We want yes soon, and we want yes often. That's what we were coached when we first came into the sales business. Do I ever want to hear the word yes? Do I ever want to hear a client, if a client answers one of my questions yes, am I happy or am I sad? Am I happy or sad if they say yes to one of my questions? That's right, I'm sad, sad, sad. Why? Because yes means nothing. Yes could mean I'm disagreeing with you because I don't want to argue. Yes could mean I don't even know what the hell you're talking about, but I don't know, it's stupid. Yes could mean I'm not even listening to you, but yes is a good filler here. So yes, and even if yes means yes, does it necessarily mean they understand it? No. So I'm never looking for a yes. I'm looking for them to explain to me why they want something, which I think is far better than getting them to say no to something. Because the reason he says well, I'll go back here. The reason they want them to say, have the ability to say no is actually, it's valid. It's a psychological principle, giving people an out, giving them the ability to say no. And we use it in many other places in the process, but not in this particular place. So in contrast, getting the other side to say no makes them feel safe and secure. If you're selling a product, for example, and you say, do you think it's a bad idea to invest in a platform that can help you? First of all, is that really getting you to no, or did they just flip that question around so the no is really a yes? Have you given up looking for new ways to blank? Again, if you said that, if you said, well, have you given up for looking for new ways to make more money? How does a client think or a prospect think if you say that to them? They said, well, I'm not really interested in making changes now. And you said, well, have you given up on looking for new ways to make money? How would that make a client or a prospect feel? Endeared to you or F you if you did that? Put yourself again in their situation. You're buying a car, and he's going through and he's saying, he's giving you, let's see, the safety features, and then you say, well, my car is pretty safe, and he says, well, have you given up on looking at ways to make your car safer? What is your instantaneous emotional reaction to that? No, my car is pretty safe. I really don't need that. Yeah, that's right, Mark. F you. That's mine. That would be my immediate reaction to that. So we don't do it the way that FBI do it. We do not do it that way. No. What we do is we ask open-ended questions so the client it's always on their own side. We can't force you to do anything. You're your own person. You do what you want. That's why we never tell, sell, preach, or teach. We let them make their own decision. We don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. We ask open-ended questions. And guys, do I ever ask for a yes? No. Do I ever ask for a no? No. Do I ever ask for anything? No. I let them tell me what they want. Sell me on what they want. Teach me about what they want. Preach to me about what they want. That's the power. Anything worth saying must be said by them. Anything worth saying must be said by them. Anything not worth saying, don't say it. Triggering, that's right. Again, we do the same thing. Voss contends that the single biggest breakthrough moment in negotiation is when the client has to say, that's right. To achieve this breakthrough, negotiation actively listen to the other side and effectively summarize the way they feel about the hope and chief. If you're selling a software product to a chief information officer, he or she expresses concerns about low user adoption rates with, sounds like you need a solution that's compatible with users' workflows and will not require a steep learning curve. The key here is to convince the other party that you understand the issue at hand by reaffirming what they've already told you. Again, guys, this is amateur stuff when it comes to, this is how amateurs sell. This is how amateurs sell. So again, you're at the car dealership, and they say, it sounds like you're looking for a solution for a safer car for your new children. Am I immediately going to say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for? Or am I already on the defensive thinking, oh, if I answer yes to this, if I answer that's right to this, I'm giving that salesperson what? Positive reinforcement and the ability to sell me. So what will they immediately do? What will you do when they say, so it sounds like you're looking for a solution to having a safer car for your children? Are you going to be on board that say, yeah, that's right? Because if you do that, they think, oh, great, I got a sale here. And you know that. So we would say, well, that's it's important. It's one of the things I'm looking for. It's not everything I'm looking for, but it's one of the things I'm looking for. See, what did I do there? As a customer, what did I do there? When he said, oh, it sounds like you're looking for a car with a safety solution to protect your family. And I said, I could say, yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Or I could say, Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's important. I mean, who wouldn't want a safe car? It's only one parameter. It's only one thing I'm looking for in a car. There's other things that are just as important to me. What have I just done there? If I say, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, it's like I've said, hey, sell me, sell me, sell me. The other way I'm saying, hey, I'm not going to give you that. We got too many pieces on the chessboard here for you to lock me into one thing here. So don't think you've locked me into a sale just by with that one little tiny thing. You see what we're just saying there? Again, FBI spends millions of dollars this guy's their top negotiator for hostages, and again, doing it amateur. See, we don't do it that way. We have the client must draw their own conclusion, must state their own conclusion, must explain their own conclusion. We don't tell them, hey, it sounds like you need a solution for compatible to users' workflows. No, we want them to say, you know what? I need a solution that's compatible to users, and what you have is what I want, because what I have now is not that. That's what we want them to say. Not me saying it, they have to say it. The client must draw, state, and explain their own conclusions. Make sense? Number 5, asking calibrated questions. The best negotiators will transform negotiations into cooperative joint problem-solving session. Yes, yes, yes. I will wholeheartedly agree with this. Voss recommends using calibrated questions that are open-ended questions that generally start with what or how, who, when. I don't care. I don't care what, how. It's who, what, when, why, how. I don't really care as long as it's an open-ended question as compared to closed-ended questions. This I will get 100% on board with. What's the biggest challenge you face? What's about the important to you? Luckily, we don't need to know these things because all of our clients face the same exact thing. What do we find? What does our clients all face? What is the one thing that 100% of our clients face, guys? What are all of our open-ended questions about? One thing and one thing only. We got over 100,000 tapes of the client saying a million times, in those 100,000 tapes, the clients have said a million times at what? In one way or another, and sometimes in soft ways, sometimes in hard ways, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in big ways. At what? My guy is screwing me. If they don't have a guy, it's the company I'm working with is screwing me to put themselves in a better position and me in a worse position. So we're lucky, but we ask open-ended questions to get them to say that. So we don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. Anything that must that should be said, they must say it. So why do you think I'm showing you this, guys? Why do you think I went through and walked through what the FBI, the top hostage negotiator for the FBI says, and then what we do instead? Why did I do that, guys? Sometimes, I mean, you see this with your teenage kids or your kids. Sometimes people, when something's given to them for free, if you give your child a car and they don't pay you a cent for it, or they work and they work for every single penny that went into that to buy that car, which car will be taken care of better? The one you give them with that they have not worked a cent or an hour to get, or the one they worked and toiled for a year to save up to buy? Which car are they going to take care of better? The one that they work for. So sometimes when we have something for free and you're not being charged for the 5Q system, it's completely free to you. So when something's free, sometimes we forget how powerful it is. Guys, this system sells 94% not of pre-qualified, not of already sold, not of referrals. This system sells 94% of people that walk into your office. It sells 94% of tire kickers. It sells 94% of plate lickers. It sells 94% of people who their current advisor is their son or their daughter. It sells 94% of people who don't have any intention whatsoever of moving their money to you. If you use it, if you practice it, if you become a master of it. Does that make sense? I want you to know how powerful these things are. So this kind of ties in. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is the next another installment of the principles of Ray Dalio. And this is one is believability. Weight your decision making. Should I believe Mike? Should I believe anything or not? In this case, should I believe Mike or not? Recognize that having an effective idea meritocracy requires that you understand the merit of each person's ideas. So guys, some people wonder, or some guys wonder, why does Mike spend so much time explaining that what they do is in the science-based selling skills, or it actually is better than what the FBI does? Why does Mike spend so much time explaining why, not just teaching us the system, explaining why the system exists as it does? If you can't successfully do something, don't think you can tell others how it should be done. So first of all, did I successfully do it? Have we had many other advisors using the exact same system make $1 million to $2 million? Yes. So we've successfully done something. We've shown it can be done. And remember last week I said, has it worked for people in their 20s? Yes. Has it worked for people in their 30s? Yes. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? Yes. Haven't had it work for anybody in their 80s yet. But 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, I've had advisors make over $1 million a year using this system. I've had advisors who are whip smart. I've had advisors who are less than whip smart, and I've had advisors with average intelligence and made over $1 million using this. I've had advisors who are wallflowers, who are introverts, advisors who are extroverts, advisors with accents, advisors in the north, the south, the east, the west, northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast, breadbasket, middle of the country, all make over $1 million with the system. Why? Because the system is not about the people, it's about the system. Find the most believable people possible who disagree with you and try to understand the reasoning. Now, the reason I have this here is, how did I create the system? Did I sit down and then write and have an epiphany where all of a sudden I woke up and just the idea hit me and I wrote down the system and it worked? No, that's not how it happened. I laid down an outline and I tried things. And then I listened to the tape, and then I'd say, wow, that part right there went terribly. I need to fix that one part. So I said, I'm going to try it this way next time. And then I would do it the next person, I would try it differently. That still didn't work. Try it again. I'm going to change that part. The next person I meet with, oh, that didn't work. And then the next person, oh, it worked. It worked. Okay, perfect. Now I've got that part down. Now I have to listen for the next part I'm going to fix. So the whole 5Q system was designed by the clients. Because I found the most believable people possible who disagree with you, which is my clients. They were disagreeing, and by disagreeing, they were saying they're disagreeing in the meeting, and I figured out, how do I get a way for them to agree with me instead of disagree? So I kept trying to understand their reasoning, and then I would change it to match their reasoning. And then I would go into the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. It took me 2 years of doing that method to get it so it worked for me. It took another 2 years once I started coaching guys to get so it didn't just work for me, but it worked for everybody. Again, young, old, smart, dumb, extrovert, introvert, north, south, east, or west, middle of the breadbasket. It worked for everybody. So it took 4 years of listening to clients disagree with us till we figured out and understood their reasoning and created a system that worked for them. See, people have successfully accomplished the thing in question at least 3 times. Guys, we've got hundreds of thousands of times that this has worked successfully. People who have great explanations for the cause and effect relationship that lead them to conclusions. That's why I explain why we do what we do. If I just say, do it this way, it works, do it this way, which is so many other quote unquote sales coaches out there. They're saying, hey, just do it this way. Well, why? Well, because it worked for this guy once. Well, what do you mean work for him? Well, he did it and he made $1 million. Okay, but why would that work for me? Well, why wouldn't it? Guys, why are they answering those ways? Because they don't even know what the hell they're doing. They don't look at the science. They don't look at the research. They don't have hundreds of thousands of tapes. How many other sales coaches do you think out there have 100,000 tapes of advisors having meetings with clients? Do you think there is another entity out there that has 100,000 plus tapes of advisors meeting with clients? Give me a yay or a nay on that. Somebody's got to answer before I move on. Yay or nay? Yeah, nobody. Nobody. It is common for conversations to consist of people sharing their conclusions rather than exploring the reasoning. That's what I just went through there. They'll say, this works. Well, why does it work? Because it's worked for other people. Well, why, how do you know? Because the guy made $1 million on it once. But they have no reasoning that led to the conclusions. As a result, there's an overabundance of confidently expressed bad opinions. It is common for conversations to consist of people sharing their conclusions rather than exploring their reasoning that led to those conclusions. As a result, there's an overabundance of confidently expressed bad opinions. Think about whether you're playing the role of a teacher, a student, or a peer, and whether you should be teaching, asking questions, or debating. Understand how people came by their opinions. Now, again, that's what you should be thinking about whether to believe me or not, somebody's trying to coach you or not, but it's also what you should be thinking when you're talking to a client. Why do they hate insurance companies? Why do they not trust annuities? Why do they love their advisor? You need to understand how they came by those conclusions. And then you need to disagree efficiently. How do we disagree efficiently? By not disagreeing. Recognize that everyone has the right and responsibility to try to make sense of important things. So am I upset when somebody gives me an objection? No, they have every right. I've never heard an objection that was not valid. I've never heard an objection that's not valid. So all I do is get on their side, agree with them, tell them why their objection is valid for 3 to 5 minutes before I have them say, your objection is valid, and there are other valid ways of looking at this as well. Did I say, but there's other ways, or did I say, and there's other ways, valid ways to look at this efficiently as well? And. Pay more attention to whether the decision-making system is fair than whether you get your way. Okay, so guys, that's the reason I spend so much time explaining the whys about what we do. Instead of just explaining what we do, I want you to understand the whys of what we do. So it should give you more confidence that it's worth the time and effort it takes. Because I'm not saying the system is easy to learn, but that it's worth the time and effort to learn it because it does work. And I just want to touch on the Survivor's Guide. It's such people use it kind of as a throwaway, and it kind of is. That's why we start with the Survivor's Guide. It has the least amount of pushback. Will anybody leave? So this is a new topic here. So I was just explaining why you should believe the way we do things at 5Q is valid. But now I want to talk about just as a little aside here before I let you go today, that even the small things can have huge effects. Will anybody leave their advisor because their advisor didn't give them a Survivor's Guide? No. This is the foot in the door technique. This is something where they think, oh, my guy didn't give that to me. I guess it would have been nice for him to give it to me, but it's not really his job. But I want to start that way because are we attacking their guy at all with the Survivor's Guide? No. But by providing the Survivor's Guide, they're already thinking, oh, this is valid. They're giving me, this is free stuff. This is good stuff they're giving to me. This is value. This is value added. I haven't even paid for this and they've given me this. This is awesome. And inside there, we have them, if you look at the crib notes, we have them say, I need that Survivor's Guide for my loved ones. If I truly love my family, I need this thing. Because remember, we have an example in there. We have an example in there where what? There's a fight over something as simple as mom's $100 wedding ring, and their fights break out, or dad's shotgun fights break out, or the cooking pot that grandma used to use to cook soup for the family. So we have a fight that breaks out in a family over there because it wasn't in a Survivor's Guide. Then we talk about a burial mistake where we find out after the fact that there is no way in the dickens that I wanted to be buried. I wanted to be, or that let's say, I think it was that I want to be buried in this cemetery near this tree that I bought a plot, but my family didn't know and they cremated me. And I find out after the fact, I'm already cremated. What can they do? Nothing. So we give examples of why the survivor's guide is important. And then we have the client tell. So why would this be a good document to have? Again, making the client tell us. So we want the client to be saying, wait, what? I guess I need this. I didn't know this thing exists, but I do need this now. So we want to use that. Don't just walk away from the survivor's guide. Leverage it. What I would tell guys is this: I treat the survivor's guide as if it was the only tool I had to get them to leave their guy. That's with the respect I treated that script. The power of attorney, I treated that as if that was the only script I had to get them to leave their advisor. The medical power of attorney being filed electronically, I treated that with the respect that I thought that was the only script that could get them to leave their current advisor. I didn't look at any of these as throwaways. I knew the power that each one of these can have. And it's only multiplied when you treat each one of these skills, each one of these scripts, with the respect it deserves, that any one of these things can get somebody to leave their current advisor if you do it well enough. Make sense? Super. Well, we'll see you next week. And here's the you see the March 16th, 23rd, and 30th. So thanks for being on. Thanks for letting me get on my soapbox a little bit today. And you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to y'all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.